Why didn't Roman armor protect the arms and legs? Throughout history, warriors have always sought the best possible protection in battle. A vivid example can be found in the armor of the Mycenaean period of Greek history. During that time, wars were frequent, both between Greeks and Minoans from Crete, and among rival Greek states themselves. As a result, armor-making technology in the Bronze Age reached a very advanced level. The Mycenaean armor set included not only a composite cuirass, but also greaves and bracers. Of course, such equipment was affordable only for the wealthiest hoplites. Yet the difference between rich and poor warriors was less about the amount of protection and more about its decoration and quality. A soldier unable to afford decent armor was not placed in the phalanx at all, since he would be a weak point. Even later, when the Achaeans and Dorians dominated Greece and armor became simpler, greaves still remained part of the standard set alongside the cuirass. Bracers, however, were less essential in a tightly packed phalanx, so they were typically worn only by wealthy hoplites or commanders. Similar armor was also found among other ancient peoples. Surviving images show that in the 5th century BCE, both Etruscans and early Romans wore greaves, but within a few centuries, these pieces disappeared completely. By the imperial period, Roman legionaries no longer wore greaves or bracers. Why? There are two main reasons. First, the need for them diminished. In the Bronze Age, battles often descended into chaotic skirmishes, where protection was needed from all directions. But with the rise of the Greek and later Macedonian phalanx, the battlefield changed. In formation fighting, soldiers needed protection only from the front. Frequently, only the first ranks wore greaves, while those deeper in the phalanx did not require them. Greaves were crucial for the front lines because the traditional round Greek shield did not protect the shins. Enemies could target the legs with arrows or sling stones. Romans at first copied Etruscan and Greek equipment, including the round shield, but eventually they adopted the tall, curved scutum, first oval, then nearly rectangular. This shield protected much more of the body, including the legs, making greaves unnecessary. Second, every piece of metal armor added weight. This was not a big problem when armor was transported by wagon and worn only before battle. But in the late 2nd century BCE, the reforms of Gaius Marius drastically reduced the baggage train. Roman armies became much more mobile, but each soldier now had to carry all his weapons, armor, and even tools for building camps. How heavy was this burden? A helmet weighed about 2 kilograms, the lorica about 12, the scutum around 10, and the gladius with scabbard another 2. The belt system with dagger added 3 more. Each legionary also carried at least 1 pilum, weighing nearly 2 kilograms. Altogether, including clothing, sandals, and entrenching tools, the load came to 35 to 40 kilograms, carried for hours every day. Small wonder legionaries wanted to shed any unnecessary weight. That said, Roman officers often wore additional protection such as bracers and greaves. There was a good reason. Unlike the rank and file, commanders did not fight locked in formation, and even with bodyguards around them, extra armor could be life-saving. It also served as a mark of status, distinguishing officers from common soldiers. Another group that continued to use bracers and greaves were gladiators. Their armor was often elaborate and specialized, designed to maximize protection in one-on-one combat. For example, they frequently wore enclosed helmets with poor visibility, impractical on a battlefield, but very effective in the arena. For gladiators, protecting the limbs, the most vulnerable targets in single combat, was especially valuable, and greaves and bracers became a key part of their gear. What do you think? Would you prefer full protection at the cost of mobility or the Roman approach? Let's discuss in the comments. If you enjoyed this story, give it a like and subscribe. See you in the next episode.